Hi, good afternoon. I'm so glad you're here at the Breaking My Silence Minnesota View. I have a survivor here and how she broke away from a horrible situation in her life. And her name is Tiffany, and she's a survivor from the Refuge Network. And here she is. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi.
Hi. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good. Yeah, good. Could you tell me a little bit about your childhood first? Let's start with that.
Sure. Well, I have 8 brothers, and I grew up in the North Branch area. And my mom was very young when she had me and my brother. It's like the Brady Bunch family. So after she had my brother and I, Jake, my biological father left. Then she re-met up with my, I guess they call him stepdad, but in all honesty, he's my dad. So
yeah, he became your dad.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And and he had boys from previous, and so they got together like the Brady Bunch.
Sure.
They got married, and they're still together. They have a very strong, wonderful, happy marriage. They've been through some hard times and survived it. Yeah, my childhood wasn't the best childhood, but it wasn't, I guess, that awful. Yeah, the worst either. So, the only thing that pretty much is the dark secret was I was sexually molested by a brother.
Oh God!
I started at the age of 3.
Oh
and
Lord!
I believe 9, 10. I don't really remember.
His son?
His son, yes.
Not your mother's.
No, okay. Nope. And nobody knew about it. Nobody knew about it for the longest time, and I believe it was like 2001 maybe is when it finally came out, 2001 or 2002. But anyway, yeah, so I just kind of turned into like a rebel. I had a really tough time, and my mom and I never got along, and I mean, we did.
Did you kind of blame her for not paying attention to that going on and stop it?
Now that I think about it, I didn't really blame her. I just couldn't understand it. And I blame my biological dad for not being there for me.
Well, yeah.
And I hated him for so long. So
that's who you would put the blame on normally,
right?
I mean, psychologically.
I didn't understand like why he wasn't there and why he signed over his rights, and
yeah,
he should have been there to protect me.
He should have been there to take you away from that.
Right.
In your subconscious mind, it's probably how you always felt, which led you to like despise him for it.
Right.
I mean, do you guys talk today?
We do, yes.
Do you?
He actually, he lives way up north, and he himself was an addict. He has been using his whole life, and I think it's just because he had a lot of guilt and shame, too. You know, they were both young. My parents were young. I think 15 when they had my brothers, and then 16 when they had me.
Wow, how old was he? How old was the
same
dad?
age as my mom. They were in the same school and same grade.
Oh,
and
they
stuff,
were just young kids.
Yeah, yep. So it's understandable.
Oh yeah, because you make so many mistakes when you're young. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like, how did that happen?
Right.
Well,
and I think my mom had issues because I looked a lot like my biological dad's side, and I think that hurt her maybe.
Maybe subconsciously.
When she saw me, you know, it reminded her of him, and you know, she had so much love for him. She loves my dad, Dwayne, also, but yeah.
Good.
So.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, what got you into what took you to search for the Refuge Network, which is what type of a place? Tell me what kind of place.
The Refuge Network is an organization that helps women and children who've been victims of domestic abuse. They help with sheltering them. They help with, legal issues, just a safe house. They do have a shelter. They help just about with anything. And
help give people jobs, do they?
Well, they do. Well,
guide them along that
They guide
path.
them along, yep. First they try to get them away from the abuser and try to help them. And sometimes it works at first, but see, when you're with an abuser, it sometimes takes women 4 or 5 times to end up to finally leave them. And a lot of people don't understand that. And, unless you're in the situation, it's hard to explain it. But
don't you think it's because if a woman feels if she loves him enough, it'll stop?
Right.
But you
love
think
him enough, we can
psychologically
change him.
we can change him if we love him enough, and if we accept him and go along with his whatever it is, he'll change.
Right.
And never do that again to me.
I thought
I
I
think that's
could
what it
love
is.
my ex-husband enough for both of us. you know.
Right, to be happy.
Yeah.
And it never worked, did it?
No.
What was he like?
He, well, he proclaimed himself to be somebody he's totally not. When we first met, I fell really hard for him. I felt 100% like I was so in love with him.
Oh,
I really was. It was. I still have, you know, a spot for him in my heart, and it's crazy because of how crazy he is.
how crazy was he?
Well, he was pretty crazy. He, well, like what brought me to it, to finding a person like him. I like to call them predators because they look out for those people who are victims and who remain victims.
Yes.
And after all that happened, said and done in my family, I was put out at 15. I was forced to just kind of survive life as it was. It was, you know, it's a whole bunch of craziness.
Tell me about that type of thing. When you say I'm put out at 15, what does that literally mean?
My,
I mean, to people
my
out
mom and I
here.
got into an argument, and
Yeah.
she was in my room, and she came at me with a metal hanger, and she started beating me with the metal hanger, and I remember grabbing it, and as I grabbed it, took it from her, and I said, "It stops. It stops here."
Right.
My brother came in, and she's like, "Oh, she's trying to hurt me, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And he said, "No, no, she's not."
Just the opposite.
And then she left the room. And then next thing you know, my dad came home from work and said, "Get in the van." And Mom handed me a bag, and it had just an extra change of clothing in it, besides the ones I had on. True story. And he drove me literally to the town I lived in town, cried the whole way, and apologized and said he didn't know what to do. But, you know, he wasn't worried. He knew I would make it and survive it. And, you know,
Where'd he
I would
take
figure
you?
something out. Right into the town in North Branch and dropped me off.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And I didn't know what to do. Back then there were payphones. So I had 2 quarters.
Oh.
And a girlfriend of mine I played ball with would see me walking
She
home
just
sometimes.
left you out on the street?
Yeah. He didn't
At
know what else to do.
15?
I was 15 years old.
Oh, Lord.
And so I had no idea what was going on. I didn't, at that moment,
did
I
you
don't
go?
think I cared. Actually, a girlfriend of mine, I had a number in my pocket in the pants I wore when I got off practice, and I didn't wash them, and the number was still in there.
Yeah.
True story.
Good.
And I pulled it out. I pulled out the quarters, and so out came the number. Her name is Samaya. Her name is Samaya Arnson, and she's my rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I played ball with her. I played fast pitch softball, and she would give me rides home from practice.
Yeah.
Because she always saw me walking. But she was very hard, and she was kind of an intimidating woman.
Yeah.
She's Latino.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, you just didn't want to really mess with her. And so she would pick me up. We wouldn't really say much, and she'd just drive me back and forth. And she gave me her number. She said, "If you ever need anything, call me."
Oh, thank God.
So I pulled out that number, and on a whim. And we weren't really good friends.
Oh, my God.
But she was good friends with my older brothers. And I called her, and I said, and I was crying, and she goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, this is what happened." And she goes, "Where are you at?" And I said, "I was at Tom Thumb in North Branch." She goes, "Wait right there. I'll be there in 15 minutes. So she came, and then her and her family took me in.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
God.
so-
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
Well, God love them. That was wonderful they
Yeah.
did that.
They are wonderful people.
My God,
And
where would you have ate? Where would you have slept? I mean, what did your mother think?
I didn't really talk to
Did you
my
ever
mom for
talk
the
to her
first
about
year.
that?
Nope.
To this day, you've
Nope.
never really talked about that?
No, I don't really talk. I don't talk to my
suggest you
mom.
do. I suggest you get in front of her face and say, what were you doing? What in God's name were you thinking?
She's a hard woman to speak to about things. And
Well, so can you be.
well, yeah.
So could you be a little hard after being treated like that? You're a much grown woman now.
Right. And I've tried
I
talking
know
to my
you
mom about a
speak
lot
out.
of things. And it's come to the point where either I can let that go and
Okay.
carry that, otherwise
Let it go.
I'm going to continue to be stuck and suffer and
forgiveness.
hurt. because it hurts. So
That's a very hurting thing.
my mom is she's got bright red hair, and she's a little spitfire, and she raised all boys, and nobody's going to tell her any different on how she's going to view her own things. She's got her opinion, and her opinion's hers, and nobody else is going to tell her different.
Ooh,
So
she's one of those women.
so a lot of things in my life, she wasn't there for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But she thinks she knows something,
Yeah.
and then she judges it, and then she tells people things that, and it's like, how would you even know? You weren't even there. I do have a past.
Weird.
Due to what happened to me when I was young, and I have abandonment issues with my biological dad, and then being thrown out, and I ended up started using the drug methamphetamine at a young age. But I had my daughter, and I was 18 when I got pregnant, and 19 when I had her, and that was hard for me. I didn't understand it because I didn't find out I was pregnant till almost a month and a half
We
before
can
I had
cut
her.
there, Patty. Stop there and go back. No. She go back when she says her name. Okay, she'll cut it. Yeah, we don't want to put her name out there.
But anyway, so it was hard for me because I wasn't pregnant that long. I didn't show I still got whatever, and it didn't make much sense to me. So I didn't realize I didn't think she was mine. So people had to come and help me.
Yeah.
Because it didn't make sense to me. All of a sudden I have this little baby, and
Really?
yeah, my aunt, she came in and helped me out and helped take care of her and show me how to take care of her.
Thank God.
And yeah, amazing little girl, absolutely amazing. This one is. Those are my blessings. My children are my blessings. But
That's right, they are.
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after that, her dad and I never got, like, we just didn't have a relationship. We were at high school, whatever.
Yeah.
Got pregnant right away, and we tried it, but he went to school, and it was hard. I was young, and I wanted to do my thing, and he was studying all the time. It was like, whatever. So we separated.
Yep.
And then I met my son's dad, and we got together, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, he was into drugs, and
Yeah.
now so am I. And I was
Right.
pretty hardcore. And so I lived a pretty hardcore life for almost 13 years. Wow. Because at that point, I ended up losing custody of my daughter,
Sure.
signed my rights over, and
my
I had
God.
no idea what was going on.
Because you were all drugged up most of the time.
Right.
Probably.
Right. Just going through, it was just a really dark time, and people were saying things about me that weren't true, and it was like a constant fight. Like, if I didn't go back to him and do it as a family, then my mom and everybody, my whole family was siding with him.
Right.
And then I started to use even more.
Oh,
and then when
sure.
I showed up for court, because I got served these papers,
Sure.
I was 19 years old, 20 years old, however old, I can't remember. Maybe I was 21, I don't even remember, but I'm not very smart when it comes to the court stuff. And
Well,
when
nobody
somebody
is.
serves me papers, I'm not understanding it. I'm in my addiction right now, trying to numb whatever's going on with me.
Yeah, trying to get your head.
And then I sign my rights away, and then I lose her.
You did.
I did.
And you didn't even really know it.
No.
Because you were so messed up. Shame on them.
But I was told that it was going to be a
Temporary.
custody thing, or, and then I was supposed to have visitations at my parents' house, which
Yeah.
I did. But it was awful because my mom it was awful. Sometimes we're really good, but how do you have quality time with your child when you have everybody else in the mix, accusing,
you
blaming,
can't.
yelling?
Yeah,
You
yelling.
need to do this and you need to do that, and how can you spend more time with this kid and not her? Where's Keelan? You need to be this and you need to do that, and it's like, you just can't take it. And then also on top of
so
it,
then you
always
stop
saying,
seeing them.
yeah,
That's what happens.
right.
A lot of times that's what happens because the circumstances for the visitation is so unwarming and unreal.
What
I mean,
the
you should
final?
have been able. You couldn't even take him to a park or anything. See, that was so. Is that because of the drugs that you were doing? That they felt that was better for the kids, or what? What do you?
I don't know. I guess I don't really know. My mom took to my daughter very well. I mean, to this day, they're the closest,
Grandma and granddaughter.
And I wonder. I'm wondering if it's not because maybe she wants to make up for,
what
us.
she did with you. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And
it
I can
is.
see that. And
Yeah, I can see that.
But there's lots of things that have been said to her that never should have been. Like, that's my thing. I should speak to my daughter about the things that have
yes.
happened in my life.
Not the grandma.
Not people that think they know something because they don't.
Yeah, not grandma.